Greetings. Let's dive in and look at the three parties today: the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and the Libertarian Party. The Democratic Party. Good afternoon, distinguished guests and valued students. Today we gather to explore in narrative detail the Democratic Party platform of 2025, a framework shaped by contemporary realities, reflecting the evolving priorities and challenges facing American society. At the heart of the Democratic Party's current vision is the fundamental goal of creating a more inclusive and robust economy. Central to this economic policy is the belief that prosperity must be broadly shared. The party emphasizes middle-class growth, advocating significant investment in national infrastructure, clean energy sectors, and education. By facilitating job creation through these investments, the party seeks to address economic inequality head-on. Critical to achieving these goals is a progressive tax structure, ensuring corporations and high earners contribute fairly, reversing tax cuts previously given to the wealthiest Americans. On the crucial issue of healthcare, the Democratic Party remains deeply committed to universal access. Building upon the foundations of the Affordable Care Act, the party aims to lower healthcare costs while expanding accessibility. Although stopping short of endorsing a single-payer system, the introduction of a public option is a key policy initiative expected to stimulate competition and drive down costs. Additionally, addressing the high cost of prescription drugs is paramount, with proposals empowering Medicare to negotiate drug prices directly, reflecting the party's ongoing commitment to affordability and fairness in healthcare. Climate change and environmental sustainability continue to be defining priorities. Recognizing the urgency of global climate threats, the party advocates transitioning aggressively towards clean energy, pledging to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. Investments in renewable energy technology and infrastructure modernization are pivotal strategies. Moreover, the platform acknowledges the vital importance of environmental justice, emphasizing that marginalized communities disproportionately impacted by environmental issues must receive targeted support and protections. Social justice, equality, and civil rights form another cornerstone of the Democratic platform. The party explicitly commits to addressing long-standing racial and gender inequalities, outlining ambitious policies aimed at closing racial wealth gaps, ensuring gender pay equity, and safeguarding the fundamental right to vote. Reinstating the comprehensive protections of the Voting Rights Act is a central policy objective. Further, the party champions LGBTQ+ rights, vigorously supporting legislative measures such as the Equality Act, designed to protect individuals from discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. Education, viewed as a foundational investment in America's future, is a critical element in the party's agenda. Advocating universal pre-kindergarten to give children equitable educational starts, and proposing tuition-free community college programs to make higher education accessible and reduce student debt are key components of this educational vision. These initiatives aim to empower individuals through education, thereby promoting both economic opportunity and social mobility. Immigration reform remains a pressing concern and priority, marked by compassion balanced with practicality. The Democratic platform advocates comprehensive reform, particularly providing clear pathways to citizenship for undocumented immigrants and robust protections for DACA recipients. Additionally, the party supports enhancing border security through smart, effective measures consistent with America's humanitarian values, rejecting policies that unnecessarily militarize borders or violate human rights. On the international stage, the Democratic Party platform strongly emphasizes a return to responsible global leadership through diplomacy and alliances. It reaffirms the importance of rebuilding strained international relationships, advocating re-engagement in global agreements such as the Paris Climate Accord. The promotion of democracy and human rights abroad remains a cornerstone principle, coupled with strong diplomatic outreach and cooperation. Lastly, criminal justice reform constitutes a pivotal focus area, driven by the urgent need to confront systemic racism and structural inequalities. The party explicitly calls for significant reforms in policing aimed at ending discriminatory practices and reducing mass incarceration rates. Eliminating private prisons and investing in rehabilitation programs further underscore the party's commitment to fairness and restorative justice within the American criminal justice system. The Democratic Party platform of 2025 presents a coherent and progressive vision addressing America's pressing social, economic, and environmental challenges. Through clear policy directives aimed at economic equity, healthcare access, climate sustainability, social justice, educational opportunity, humane immigration reform, principled foreign policy, and criminal justice reform, the party articulates a comprehensive roadmap for America's future, emphasizing inclusivity, fairness, and justice. The Republican Party platform and values in 2025. By Introduction. The Republican Party, historically known as the Grand Old Party, GOP, continues to evolve its platform and core values to address contemporary issues, maintain its foundational principles, and appeal to an increasingly diverse electorate. By 2025, the Republican Party platform represents a fusion of traditional conservative values and responses to modern challenges, emphasizing individual liberty, limited government, economic freedom, national security, and a strong defense. 2. Core principles. A. Individual liberty. The GOP emphasizes personal freedom as a cornerstone of American democracy, advocating for limited government intervention in personal lives and protection of constitutional rights, particularly freedom of speech, religion, and the right to bear arms. B. Limited government Republicans advocate for reducing the size and scope of government, arguing that an overly expansive government encroaches upon individual freedoms, stifles economic growth, and increases inefficiencies and corruption. C. Free market economy. Economic freedom, lower taxes, deregulation, and free market capitalism remain central to the Republican economic vision. Republicans emphasize job creation, entrepreneurship, and economic prosperity driven by private enterprise. D. National security and defense. A strong national defense, rigorous border security, and assertive foreign policy to protect American interests abroad continue to be key Republican priorities. The party supports a robust military, intelligence services, and active engagement in international alliances that prioritize American security and sovereignty. E. Traditional values. Many Republicans remain committed to traditional family values, advocating policies that promote the nuclear family, education freedom, pro-life stances, and religious liberties. Third, economic platform. A. Tax policy. The Republican Party in 2025 advocates maintaining and expanding tax cuts to stimulate economic growth, incentivize investments, and support small businesses. They propose simplifying the tax code to improve compliance and reduce bureaucracy. B. Deregulation. Republicans emphasize reducing regulatory burdens on businesses, particularly small and medium-sized enterprises, to foster innovation and enhance competitiveness on the global stage. C. Fiscal responsibility. Budget discipline, deficit reduction, and national debt management remain central fiscal priorities. Republicans advocate balanced budgets, reducing wasteful spending, and reforming entitlement programs such as Medicare and Social Security to ensure long-term sustainability. EV. Social and cultural platform. A. Education Republicans strongly support school choice initiatives, voucher programs, charter schools, and homeschooling options to empower parents and promote competition within education. B. Pro-life position. The GOP maintains a pro-life stance, advocating for legislation that limits abortions, protects unborn life, and encourages adoption and pregnancy support programs. C. Second Amendment. Defense of the Second Amendment continues to be prominent, with Republicans opposing restrictive gun control measures and promoting responsible gun ownership. V. Immigration and border security. The 2025 Republican platform advocates for stringent border security measures, including physical barriers, advanced surveillance technologies, and increased staffing. The party emphasizes a merit-based immigration system prioritizing skills and economic contributions. 6. Environmental and energy policies. Republicans endorse an all-of-the-above energy policy, supporting the development and use of traditional energy sources such as oil and natural gas, alongside renewable energy and nuclear power. The party prioritizes energy independence and security over stringent climate regulations, advocating market-based solutions to environmental challenges. 7. National security and foreign policy. A. Military strength. The Republican Party emphasizes robust funding for the military, modernization of armed forces, and maintaining a technological edge over global adversaries. B. Foreign relations. Republicans advocate a policy of peace through strength, emphasizing American leadership in global affairs, countering threats from nations like China and Russia, and strengthening alliances such as NATO. Healthcare Republicans support market-driven healthcare solutions, emphasizing competition and choice to reduce costs and improve service quality. They advocate for reforms in Medicare, Medicaid, and opposing government-run single-payer systems. 9. Law and order Republicans advocate strong law enforcement, community safety, and criminal justice reform that balances rehabilitation with accountability. The platform emphasizes backing law enforcement agencies, promoting public safety, and enforcing immigration laws. X. Technology and innovation. The GOP supports policies fostering innovation and technological advancement, advocating reduced regulation in emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, and biotechnology to maintain global competitiveness. Conclusion. In 2025, the Republican Party continues to blend historical conservative principles with responses to new societal challenges. Central to the GOP platform is the ongoing commitment to individual liberty, limited government, fiscal responsibility, national security, and traditional values. As it moves forward, the party seeks to balance these principles with pragmatic solutions addressing the complexities of contemporary American life. The Libertarian Party. In 2025, the Libertarian Party stands as a significant third-party force in American politics, continuing its foundational emphasis on individual liberty, limited government, free markets, and peace. Rooted in classical liberal philosophies, the Libertarian Party advocates for minimal state intervention in personal and economic affairs, maintaining that freedom fosters innovation, prosperity, and social harmony. At the core of libertarian values is the principle of individual autonomy. Libertarians believe that each individual possesses inherent rights, including life, liberty, and property, and that these rights should remain untouched by government interference except where necessary to prevent harm or uphold contracts. In practical policy terms, this translates to a robust commitment to civil liberties such as freedom of speech, religion, and association, as well as rigorous protection of privacy rights, including strong opposition to government surveillance and data collection practices. The Libertarian Party of 2025 continues to advocate vigorously for economic freedom. Its platform emphasizes reducing taxation and government regulation to promote entrepreneurship, innovation, and economic growth. Libertarians propose simplifying or eliminating the income tax in favor of consumption-based or flat taxes, aiming for transparency and minimal economic distortion. They argue for deregulation across industries, including healthcare, energy, education, and finance, positing that competitive markets naturally incentivize efficiency, lower costs, and higher quality. On government spending and fiscal policy, the Libertarian stance remains stringent. They push for dramatic reductions in federal spending, advocating for a balanced budget through cuts to military expenditure, entitlement reform, and the dismantling of what they see as unnecessary or ineffective government programs. The party supports comprehensive audits of federal agencies to identify and eliminate wasteful spending. Healthcare policy under libertarian principles promotes patient-driven care, free market competition, and deregulation. Libertarians argue against government-mandated healthcare systems or insurance requirements, advocating instead for consumer choice, price transparency, and reduced licensing barriers for medical providers to expand accessibility and affordability. Regarding social issues, the Libertarian Party is consistently inclusive, advocating for minimal state interference in private life decisions. It supports the legalization of drugs, viewing prohibition as counterproductive and harmful, and emphasizes harm reduction strategies and rehabilitation over punitive measures. Similarly, libertarians advocate for full marriage equality and robust protections for the LGBTQ+ community, arguing that individual rights should never be contingent upon majority approval. Criminal justice reform remains a priority. Libertarians advocate for ending mass incarceration, especially for nonviolent offenses, emphasizing restorative justice and rehabilitation over punishment. They actively promote police reform, demanding accountability, transparency, and community-based policing approaches, including an end to qualified immunity. In foreign policy, the Libertarian Party consistently promotes non-interventionism, advocating for peaceful diplomacy and open trade relations rather than military aggression or extensive alliances. They argue for significant reductions in the military budget, reallocation of defense resources towards domestic needs, and closing overseas bases deemed unnecessary. Regarding immigration, libertarians generally support open immigration policies, believing that the free movement of people is as crucial as the free movement of goods and services. They argue that immigration fosters economic growth, innovation, and cultural enrichment, while opposing restrictive border policies that curtail human rights and economic potential. On environmental issues, libertarians typically emphasize property rights and market-driven solutions. They argue for clear legal frameworks, holding polluters accountable through strict enforcement of property rights, and encourage technological innovation through free market incentives rather than government mandates. In conclusion, the Libertarian Party of 2025 upholds a consistent philosophical foundation emphasizing minimal government, maximum freedom, and personal responsibility. Through their advocacy of individual liberty, economic freedom, and non-aggression, libertarians present a distinct political vision aimed at maximizing personal autonomy and societal prosperity.